Joint practices began today between the Lions and the Dolphins. And so far, the clips that we have seen look ridiculous. So let's get right into it. So yes, we're here with our initial takeaways from the first day of joint practices, Lions, Dolphins. I know there's been some information that people have given out, some that people haven't given out. There's been random posts across X. So I know there's just random stuff going on, and there's tons of things that I'm going to miss here. But I really want to focus on some of the notes that I read through so far, because a lot of it's just been positives on the defensive side. And then also the clips that the Lions posted on their X page, as well as the one clip Miami posted on their X page, which I think is hilarious because, you post your team's highlights, and it doesn't sound like there was actually that many highlights today, at least for Miami's offense. And typically teams post offensive highlights. Well, I haven't seen any of those, so maybe they're just all on Instagram. But also on top of that, from what we've heard, it sounds like they didn't do much that well offensively. And from the Lions side of things, sounds like there was a ton of positives on the defensive side, yet there is highlight reels that have been put together of St. Brown today in practice. And some of these throws and the timing with St. Brown look crazy. So we're just going to jump right into this and talk about what I've seen so far. And I first want to start off with some of these clips. I just want to react to the clips, and then we'll get into some of the notes here. And the first video clip that we have is a 1-minute montage of St. Brown essentially just going crazy. And the first play that we get is St. Brown against Jack Jones. We got to see a lot of this matchup. Miami just recently signed Jack Jones. They're pretty thin at cornerback, so they're trying to find an answer here. So it's understandable. And you get that inside jab step, and then kind of the two-step stutter, and then he breaks it off vertically, and he just burns Jack Jones off the ball, off the line of scrimmage, and he's gone. He's got a big play over top. So there's that immediate first play that we get. And then we get the over-the-shoulder grab where both wide receiver looking back for the football. We see the cornerback flip his eyes, look back for the ball. It seems like by the time he flipped his eyes back for the football, the ball was already in a spot where he couldn't get to it. Got his hands out quickly, toe tap and toe drug the sideline for a huge gain down the sideline again, one-on-one with the same cornerback here. But then we get this wheel route. And this is the first time I think we start to see these clips in like red zone and team drills. And this first play caught my eye because this was incredible, first off. But secondly, it's the timing of the throw. So we get like this wheel route seemingly from St. Brown. Maybe it was some kind of drag and then release to the fade, but it looks like just a straight like wheel route from St. Brown here with some kind of over-breaking route from Jamison Williams to kind of cross these things off. So the cornerback has to work over top. And if you look, St. Brown is being matched up with the rookie, Jason Marshall. That's the rookie like 5th-round pick that they had this year. But what I noticed is, first off, when the ball is being thrown, I mean, Jared Goff is seemingly throwing this well before you really see that separation. You kind of get the rub, and then immediately the ball's out over top. So the ball placement here is disgusting. And obviously the field is shrunk. You have the back of the end zone to worry about, so your timing has to be on point. So the ball is money, literally as good as it can be. And St. Brown just plays this so effortlessly, where he's just so relaxed, allows the cornerback to get into his body, and then just in a calm, patient way, the cornerback never finds the football, and St. Brown, because of the timing, just reaches that right hand out, catches it against the cornerback's body, and walks out of bounds with him into the end zone. I mean, the timing of this ball is perfect because the cornerback doesn't have a shot to look back. He needs to engage with the corner, that way he can find the football. But because of the rub that they create, he now has to work back to try to find that engagement first. By the time he finds the engagement, the ball is there, and St. Brown is trapping it on his body. So for the cornerback, he's in no man's land essentially at this point. He has no idea where the football is. And that's the first play that stuck out because the timing of that throw, the accuracy of that throw, all of it was perfection. It was beautiful. But we got more of these team drills. And every throw kind of felt like this when we got to see them in team drills. Now, again, dominating one-on-one drills was kind of the story, or just looked like a straightforward jab step. And we got kind of a delayed transition out by the cornerback in press one-on-one. And St. Brown just ran past him vertically, pressed upfield, over the shoulder. Great tracking speed, really good timing there. Just worked it right into his body. Didn't have to adjust late on the play. And then we get another one-on-one release here against the same cornerback. Get this inside single jab step, and then he breaks it back outside. And again, you see the swivel in his hips, and all of a sudden you see that cornerback, he looks like, oh, he's in trouble. And you get that little hesitation delay with the hips, then he breaks out of his route, pushes upfield, and snaps it off beautifully. The pacing of this route was so smooth, really didn't give any indicators there, snapped it off, and then he works back to the ball. The timing's in a good spot, the hands are easy, he's on the sideline, tucks it. I love how our guys all work back for the football. The element that makes St. Brown so nasty in my eyes, too, is the footwork. I mean, it takes no extra steps for him to break that route off, snap it off. There is no beating the drum whatsoever, seemingly. He plays everything so low to the ground. He's got so much wiggle in his hips, but it's so efficient with his footwork. And then we get some more of these team drill highlights, and all of a sudden we see this big shot play seemingly in 7-on-7s. It says third down, but it sounds like the Lions actually did really well. Like Goff early in the day, I guess, went 5 for 5, and then he went 4 for 4. Shout out to Wendy's. And they get this vertical shot here working this red zone drill to St. Brown over top. Completely burnt the cornerback deep on this play. They score another touchdown on his red zone drills. And then we get this tight angle shot. We're working inside the 10. We're working a goal line situation and kind of a St. Brown special working towards that front pylon. He settles himself in. Again, the ball placement is nasty, and it really shows off by this angle specifically. He's just boxing out the cornerback. I've seen the offensive line seemingly handle business. Doesn't seem like Jared Goff is dealing with any sort of pressure. Now, they told us today that from a receiver perspective, they were pretty much not really using Waddle or Tyreek today, so they were very limited on that side, which makes sense to why they had the struggles that they did, because offensively, they're built around that speed. It's what makes them so dynamic. It's what makes them so difficult to deal with. So it's understandable that when you take those pieces out, now it's just kind of Achane. It's a completely different looking offense. There's no doubt. But offensively here, this team can get after the quarterback. They have dudes to do that. And we're seeing it on this play right here. It looks like the pocket is fantastic. And when you see the bodies that are on the field that are seemingly rushing the passer, even though this is just a glimpse of it, but we did hear Taylor Decker say that it went well. And from all accounts, it went pretty darn well in terms of pass protection and run blocking. Bradley Chubb, that may be Mohamed Kamara in there as well, the recent draft pick. So they got dudes on that defensive front. But this ball, fantastic timing. I mean, this is just looks like these guys have been, this looks like a week 15 kind of throw. And then we get this pass, which, first down here, working red zone 7-on-7 drills again. And this ball is seemingly coming out immediately because you see the running back swinging as the ball is being released by Goff. So it was seemingly a very fast read. I love this by Saint because watch how Saint settles himself down. He feels the inside help, settles himself down, avoids the big shot on that play, would have had the reception and works upfield. But that ball was out quick, and Goff is threading the needle to St. Brown. And these last two plays kind of pull it all together to Amon-Ra St. Brown. I mean, this first one here, you see Ife Melifonwu underneath, who we know is playing safety, so he seemingly rolled down into some sort of single high look. He buzzed down seemingly on the play, and Goff goes right behind the safety, but he layers it to the point where if he doesn't really feel like he's in the play at all, the ball is caught, who seemingly is rolling down underneath. You have that single high safety, looks like over top in this spot, and then this next throw that we get is kind of more of the same here. Right behind the defense, layered a level 2 pass behind the linebacker, Terrell Dodson, on this look, and it's just ripped past his fingertips. Again, look when the ball is coming out here. I mean, the ball's in his air as he's snapping off, as he's clearing this backer. I mean, when the ball is thrown, he has not cleared the linebacker yet, but Goff is throwing him away from that underneath linebacker, letting Saint just go get it, and Saint just being reactive, he's throwing it into a window. That is a true definition of fantastic anticipation. Obviously, he's cooking every cornerback, but he is just firing it into windows right now. The other play that I wanted to showcase was obviously the JMO touchdown too. They showed it in like 3 different angles here. But I think the key for this touchdown is, again, pass protection-wise, seemingly nobody's in the backfield at all. There seems to be like no pressure whatsoever happening. Now, I think I can see Kenneth Grant, who's working out there on this play. I believe that's Sealer as well. So Zach Sealer, I believe that's Kenneth Grant who's working in there. The Lions seem to hold it up really well on that left side of the line. And then when you can see where this ball is being placed, be in front of that safety, in front of that seemingly free safety on this play, but inside of that outside corner. So it's really just splitting the seams here, splitting the coverage Goff is on this play. And this was huge because it wasn't just a pass by Goff, which was great. It was also the fact that JMO was on the same page. Because I can remember years ago seeing the play where, Goff fired it to the sideline and kind of a window shot. And it didn't seem like JMO was really expecting it to go there, even though that was like, hey, we got to be adaptive here because that's the zone that they're allowing us. Well, here JMO seemingly super reactive to that because he adjusts himself back to the ball, seemingly expecting the pass, understands he's going to take that hit and attacks the football in the air while attacking these seams. He doesn't run himself into coverage either. Just splits the 2 defenders, gives himself a window for Goff to throw into, and then attacks the ball back to make Goff right on the play. So overall, seeing some of these clips are fascinating. They're fantastic. And then we get this full montage of everybody just kind of cooking. We see Aiden Hutchinson working around Larry Borum, and it kind of cuts off. It looks like just some nasty sidestep. I mean, he wasn't even in the play throughout that lateral movement there, which Hutchinson's always had ridiculous kind of agility and lateral movement. Then we see the bend around the arc. He really flattens at the top of the rush there. Hutchinson had back-to-back sacks, they said, at one point today. One of them was more of a coverage sack. Then we get Monty working one-on-one with the linebacker here, and this is KJ Britt. Doesn't even look like KJ Britt's really in the play. KJ Britt's been a good linebacker. He's not a great coverage one-on-one piece, so this is understandable, but he is a good linebacker. Monty runs kind of an out-and-up look. I do like the nuance to that route, but he was burned immediately. He was burned immediately on this rep. And then Tesla's routes were incredibly impressive because this guy, for as big as he is, he's playing so low to the ground. He's snapping these routes off with ease. We showed some of the nuance that he had in his last game and the different creative ways that he would try to create some separation, and we see that here as well. Ethan Bonner one-on-one. We get this sink, but look how low he's running this route, right? You get this curl route route. He's snapping that route off low, working back to the quarterback at the top of the route as well. And the footwork is so smooth, it's precise. It's 1-2, it's stepping himself back. It's creating a lot of separation and a minimalistic footwork with ridiculous reactive hands away from his body to just pluck it. We get to see a little bit of Roy Lopez with the punch, being able to get an edge on the interior offensive lineman, edge on James Daniels, which is one of the big additions for Miami this offseason. St. Brown, of course, doing his thing. We kind of looked at this one, snapping it off at the top, the fantastic hands at the catch point, a couple of those. And then again, Tesla now this time has a step. The cornerback can kind of play like if he had a safety over top, he could kind of play two-man here and just kind of run underneath the hips of Tesla, but he's probably a little more aggressive because he doesn't have safety help over top, so he's trying to get back into the play. And Tesla, again, the snap at the top of this route is fantastic. I love the pacing, too. He doesn't really show that he's going to snap this route off and break it off, but it's so efficient. It's 1, 2, 3, I'm back to the ball, jolts himself back, plucks it out of the air, holds on through some of the little contact that's there as well. J-Mo with the burst here to snap his route off, working one-on-one with Kendall Sheffield. I also like the timing within a lot of these one-on-one throws. I mean, I assume a majority, if not all of these, are being thrown by Jared Goff. Again, the snap here is pretty efficient. That was something that had J-Mo worked on. He had worked on for a little while, being able to become more efficient at the top of these routes. But I think for him, it's been the ability to really involve that burst so that he could sell that upfield shoulder, that he could really push guys upfield because he has such athleticism there. And I think we're seeing that he is really selling it well. I mean, he's aggressively snapping this upfield with that burst, and Sheffield is in a full-on sprint, which gives him no shot to work back for the ball. And then again, fast, reactive, fingertip type of hands. And then obviously St. Brown finishes it off with just a ridiculous grab. I mean, these clips across the board are disgusting that we are seeing. And then the one play, I'm like, maybe Miami had some highlights that I haven't seen. So it's like, hey, they're cooking too. We're just not talking about it. The one play that they posted on X was Goff stepping up in a pocket that seemingly was pretty good. You got Zach Zeeler on the play, who is seemingly being held up incredibly well, who's one of their best interior defensive linemen by seemingly Graham Glasgow on the play. See Mahogany at the start here, kind of walking his guy off to the side. The pressure seemingly is coming a little bit from Kenneth Grant with some knockback here. Ratledge trying to settle in, and he does have a little bit of a latch here. So Goff stepping out of it into literally no pressure anywhere else. This is fantastic as a sign. There was a little bit, I guess, late that came through from Penei Sewell, but I think that's Derek McClendon, and he steps up pretty cleanly into this pass, and the ball was actually fantastic ball placement. It's just that Ronnie Bell didn't finish it as Mika Fitzpatrick knocked it away, but the ball placement was fantastic there. So I'm seeing this like, all right, this is a good play for Fitzpatrick for sure, and we had some of these guys working these first-team reps, but again, the ball placement was money. So I'm seeing these clips, man, they're getting me fired up. These were awesome across the board.
Grant Stewart essentially putting into question the practice habits of this team?
No, I don't. I mean, literally does not affect me whatsoever. I hope we get the absolute best practice from Grant and everybody else between the whistles like that, and that makes us better. So, I think there's a lot of noise, and I've filed that into the noise category.
They said that Iffy and J-Mo got into it today, a little bit of a scuffle at practice, which is understandable. But still with no Terran Arnold, Boodle got kind of the nod, and then unfortunately it sounds like Boodle got hurt today with a leg injury, so they leaned on Whiteside, and they leaned on Eric Hallett, and Whiteside's coming off a fantastic Week 1 preseason game where he was awesome, nearly had a pick in that game. It sounds like he had a pick today as well. And then also you were getting Eric Hallett, who had multiple pass breakups by the notes that we've heard so far, getting more outside cornerback work, so fortunate for him leaving with that. Isaac Uku got some first-team defensive reps, so did Miles Adams. They had Miles Adams, I believe, in there listed with a sack as well, so Miles Adams showing himself a little bit. Again, I'm a big Miles Adams believer. I think he's going to end up making this team. And when you go through some of the notes, right, Brian Branch dominating his one-on-ones, one against Tariq Black, 2 times against Taj Washington. DJ Reed with splitting his reps one-on-one, allowing a reception. I believe they said to Taj Washington, but he nearly broke it up towards the end of the rep. The one guy that clearly had a win on Rock Ya-Sin was Eric Ezukama, who is been good so far from everything that I've heard from Miami. I'm pretty sure he had a very strong last preseason game as well, the former Texans Tech big wide receiver. So he's actually been coming on for them a little bit there. The one-on-ones don't really grab my attention as much because I kind of expect our top guys to win these reps just based on the names that are being thrown out there. But Whiteside having a near interception on Armstrong, also forcing an incomplete pass at 101s, that is the positive. That's a young guy. He's a 2-year player in the NFL that's coming off a fantastic game. If there is someone that can work his way up really fast, it's Whiteside, right? He has a skill set to do that. He is so snug in coverage. He has the opportunity to do that in man coverage. And then you hear more of these notes, the 7-on-7 drills, which is a tip off of Boodle's helmet, which gets intercepted intercepted by Ian Kennelly, who's getting take. And it sounded like there was a lot of takeaways. Allett nearly intercepts a pass. Then Whiteside ends up intercepting a pass, covering Tariq Black incredibly well. And they noted a breakdown in coverage that led to a big gain to the running back and Achane out of the backfield, which is something that caught my attention because, again, that first preseason game, we allowed multiple running backs to run completely uncovered because of some coverage breakdown. So that still needs to clearly get cleaned up. But then they had Barnes getting into a sack with Brian Branch. Not really a surprise there. A coverage sack, a forced fumble, an offensive pass interference, a couple of holds. Sounds like Davenport and Hutchinson were a problem. Again, one drive ended with 2 Hutchinson sacks back-to-back. Cunningham, Stewart getting in on sacks, and Stewart called out Mike McDaniel, I guess, before practice. Somehow, I don't know where he said it, but Mike McDaniel kind of addressed it in terms of, him kind of challenging the way that they practice specifically. Private Detroit said they had 4 successful plays out of 25 repping team drills offensively. I understand they don't have their top 2 guys, but that's an insane advantage for the Lions defense. I mean, we don't have Terran Arnold either in this one. And obviously, again, those 2 receivers make this team who they are, right? Because it just makes them different. It's why they need the speed. It's why they go after Black and Eric Azukam. Like, they have the speed guys, Achane, but those 2 guys are so unique. It changes everything. But ultimately, I'll still take it as a massive positive because the defense has done well up to this point against the Lions offense, who seemingly got things going, even though we didn't get as many notes on that side. In red zone drills, they said there was a couple of thrown away passes. Then Jack Campbell did his thing getting a run stop. Roy Lopez and Alex Anzalone ended up getting a run stop. There was a sack by Miles Adams. Aiden Hutchinson drew a holding call. Love to hear that from Miles Adams. Keep making plays. Positive screenplay, but there was also a couple of drops in there. A forced fumble by Eric Hallett for the second team gave up a touchdown. Specifically, Tyson Russell work on one-on-one, working with Tariq Black. And then they went to the situational drills, and this is where all the good notes kind of came together. They said their own 30, they started a drive, and again, Hutch sack. One of them was more so of a coverage sack. They did a reverse that Brian Branch jumped and took away. The next 3 passes to Tagovailoa, when they kind of reset through that same situation, he ended up completing 1 pass for 0 yards. Wheel route that Jack Campbell was in good coverage that fell incomplete, including a stop play action boot play. The notes that we got from the offensive side of the ball was a lot of positives so far, and I mainly focus on the O-line because it did look pretty strong from the clips that we saw and we heard from Taylor Decker, but offense going through it situationally, I guess it was like 10-10, and the Lions defense forced a 4 and out specifically, but then offensively a 25-yard completion to St. Brown, 11-yard completion to Ronnie Bell. It sounds like Ronnie Bell had some positives outside of obviously the pass breakup we saw. A curl to Shane Zylstra for a medium type of gain. Ultimately, it kind of stalled out with a miss to St. Brown and a miss to Jamison Williams. They would have been in field goal range, but they ended just ending practice anyway after that in 7-on-7s. They said St. Brown was dominant. We saw some of those clips. Said he had over 10 receptions, multiple touchdowns. Red zone drills early in the day. Goff was 4 for 4 in the red zone. 2 touchdowns to Saint, a touchdown to Jamison Williams, a touchdown to Sam Laporta. To the first team drill, Jared Goff was 5 for 5. Sam Laporta, St. Brown a couple of times. Like, a lot of the notes that we had were very positive today for the Lions side of things, specifically on defense. They did say that there was some pre-snap penalties that were in their lines. Also, I guess, coughed up a couple of balls in this game, so had some little blunders that can't happen. Obviously, having a mistake in coverage where you're leaving a guy wide open for 20 yards is another big problem as well. But specifically in terms of the clips that we saw, man, those are incredibly positive. Now, from some of the injury updates that we did get this morning, Terran Arnold wasn't going to be practicing today, but they did say Sione Vaki would be getting some looks. I don't know how many he actually did, but they did say Vaki's kind of in a spot now where they can start working him back in, so that's very exciting to get Sione Vaki kind of back up to speed. Maybe that means he'll end up playing this Saturday. It sounds like he's in line to be doing that, which is a massive positive, and it sounds like the Achman injury isn't overly serious, at least as of now, which is another big positive. So I'm going to leave it there. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. We'll keep updating as we get more notes. Thank you, Prop, for watching, and I'm out.